radar trucks, AI finally nerfed. Welcome to Season 1 Reloaded. Apologies for my voice being a little bit gone, but I'm too excited to go through all of these notes with you guys. Of course, they are adding the World Cup. We saw this teased a little bit. It's going to be a 3v3 limited time mode. It's replacing trios, unfortunately. They've also fixed a ton of stuff. We've been getting got with these XP tokens for so long. I didn't think it'd ever be fixed, and it, of course, still is not. But at least you're going to have it in the menu, and you can even equip them from the pause menu in game, theoretically. They also fixed a bunch of stuff with the social tabs, merging some of the UI together, the showcases, so it'll be easier to select what you're doing, even fixing the channels. And the groups is actually a new feature where you can create, kind of like if you guys are familiar with my Discord, where you can find games with one another. If you guys do want to hop in there, still a phenomenal resource. If you guys want to, maybe I could even create one too. From the previous blog post, they said it could be about 5,000 players in that one. Of course, we're also getting the new weapon, the Chimera. This is going to be unlocked via Weapon Challenge or Store Bundle. Yeah, you can get got here. They also made a bunch of weapon tweaks. I'm not going to go through every single one, but there's some big highlights. Of course, the akimbo pistols, which everybody's been using. Actually, all the pistols overall have received a damage reduction, so they're going to be nerfed a little bit, but there is some tweaks to that in a second. Kastov 74U, that actually got a nerf as well from the close range. The 545 may be actually viable now. A lot of people have been complaining it's not good enough. Increase the bullet speed, close range damage. The MX got a buff to the 32 round mag if you want to use that. The Vel got a little bit of a buff for some of its movement speed. The Deagle got a little buff if you're feeling confident with that now. Shotguns across the board also can no longer one shot. So praise be. The Riot Shield also got a huge nerf. I don't know if they just don't like fun or what it is, man, but hey, I'll take it because I don't really use the Riot Shield. So, it's now slower to switch your weapons. You move slower with it as well, or slower to throwing knife. It's going to be tough if you're a Riot Shield user, which, is kind of nice for me. Vehicles have also seen a bunch of tweaks. Mostly the heavy chopper is now not going to take as much damage. The LTV is going to take more damage from AI. So if you're driving around by a stronghold, if you're in DMZ, that thing's getting shot at, be careful. Friendly player nameplates also disappear if enemies line up. So that way you'll still shoot thinking it's an enemy rather than thinking the enemy is a friendly. So that's a great change as well. I'm very happy they finally did that. A lot of this is multiplayer oriented, but this one was kind of fun. The radar trucks. You can now throw portable radar onto a freaking vehicle. It's one of the first things Aculite tried when we were playing together, to drive around the map and just to get free UAV on your vehicle while you're speeding around. They also adjusted tuning. So now the benefits from tuning are going to be even greater and the harmful things are going to be less. So that fine tuning that a lot of people have been talking about, I've been doing a little of myself, may not be as big of a deal. We'll have to see. Thermal optics finally got a buff as well. I'm so happy about this. I used that dope camo covered optic from the store bundle that I bought, but the optic was terrible for sniping because the thermal only worked out to a certain distance. Now that's going to work even farther. Heat signatures are going to fade on dead enemies, and there's even more details here for some of that. They did a ton of bug fixing. I'll get into more of that in a second. I already talked about how they're replacing trios for the World Cup. This is big, though. They're adding a labs to DMZ. And what they said here is that it's going to be taking you out of Al Mazrah. And this is exactly like Tarkov. I did a little bit anyways, I played too much in Tarkov, and I'm very excited for labs being here because this is going to be an interesting end game, especially because there's going to be separate key cards for specific rooms in it. This could be extremely cool, especially if it's more PvP oriented. It's going to be a huge drive for me to play more DMZ, which I have been playing more of. Strongholds have also been tweaked, increasing the number of active strongholds now up to 5 from 3. They also mentioned later in the bug fixes that these should now stay on the screen. They mentioned it had to do with pinging, so we'll see how it actually works in practice. AI combatants also got nerfed from the damage that they're doing, as well as there's less of them at strongholds, which is big. Black sites, you also have to be more careful now, though. Even if you're not doing them, they get a bigger UAV that moves twice as fast with even wider radius. So even if you don't capture the black site, which it's even more valuable to do now, be careful going by them if somebody else did, because you are going to be showing up in real time, basically, for these guys. A ton of changes to the spawns for DMZ items as well, making it a little bit better for us. Decrease the amount of toothpaste you're going to find, for example. And this is really cool. There's now a plea for help. So eliminated players are now able to request help from enemy players. So if you're completely elammed, you can still request help from other people that are coming by to res you and join your squad, which they had talked about initially. We'll see how it actually works out, but another option to join in with other people, which could be really fun. Random perks as well. Whenever you successfully extract, this is going to give multiple times in a row, it's going to give you perks to go in on your next raid. So even more reason to stay alive, get an extraction, or even just do some quick runs to get some extractions to DMZ, which I think is super cool. And I even noticed sometimes I seem to have double time on when I was playing DMZ. So maybe some of this was even happening in the background randomly. We also now have the bomb drone finally nerfed. This was like this when Warzone 1 came out as well. You could throw a bomb on it and blow people up. They nerfed all of that. As you see with Reloaded here, they also nerfed it here. So if you're fully plated, you will not die, although you will be critical health from a bomb drone. So keep that in mind. Perk packages now also should work. They don't even say what it says because they know how busted this is. Fingers crossed it actually does work. Ammunition also will automatically be looted from players now. So if you swap a weapon, you drop some ammo. If you walk over, it should automatically pick it up into your weapon if you're already using that weapon. There's been a ton of problems with the ground loot, and speaking of which, interacting with the desired items should be easier now. They even said at the buy stations they're going to spread out the loot better. So thank the Lord for that, man. Combat records as well, though previously announced Warzone 2 would be getting that. Right now, it is not out, so we're going to have to keep waiting for that. Of course, they're probably going to go on holiday break, so this is probably not going to be till January or February. Now, this is a gigantic list of bug fixes. I went through every single one of them. Here's some of the ones that I had seen and that do stand out. One of those being players pinging the loadouts. I know a lot of you guys want to just ping it so you can visually see where it is without having to constantly pull the map up. That should now be fixed. Resupply perk now has the UI. It was working, but you couldn't tell how much longer before that next stun was going to come up or that next stim. Now that's going to properly indicate for you. We also have fixed an issue that caused players to skip the downstate despite having a revive pistol. I thought this was just a feature in the game, but if you have a revive pistol, it should work like a self-res. Sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. I didn't know which way it was supposed to go. Now we know. Playing the play again feature should also be here. I talked about this in my video of all the things that I want to see change in this game. Obviously, very few things of those were touched in this video. You can go check that one out too if you want to. Very cool commentary and great comments on that one. And then we also have prevented squads total cash from updating correctly when you were assimilating. So if you tried to bring somebody into your squad or even go for the 6-man on Unhinged, you know that some of the, or even a DMZ, right? Sometimes the numbers didn't line up. That should be fixed up. The HUD to disappear when a player was eliminated when holding a precision airstrike. So if you ever pulled those up, all your HUD disappeared. That also sometimes stayed permanently for the rest of the game, by the way. If you never got that one, be happy about that. It was a pain, but that should now be fixed. Picking up awarded stronghold keys from loot piles should be better. Again, going back to the loot distribution on the floor, please be good. That has been one of the biggest frustrations. Champions Quest HUD elements now should appear as well. There was also a mention of that later on where it was spawning in the floor. That's if the nuke in Battle Royale, if you guys are not familiar with that. Pinged strongholds do not appear on the minimap. So that, yeah, I discussed that a little bit earlier there. Champions Quest caused match disconnect messages to appear in the kill feed. Not that big of a deal, but they actually did a whole bunch of stuff with the kill feeds, challenges, even the mastery not working in one side to the other. Fixed an issue that caused some blueprints to not be usable in DMZ. There was a bunch of DMZ, like mostly this was more towards the quests though, and things not actually properly registering or working. But that's pretty much a recap of all the things that stood out to me. I always love to go through all these patch notes, and I thought this would be better as just a quick highlight video of all of it rather than me reading through all the details live with you guys. So if you enjoyed it, give it a like. Let me know. Double check you're subscribed. We have more videos coming today as well, so keep an eye out for it. And that's for this one. So I'm at 64. Over and out.